So all I'm going to do is talk about myself and my business today, and I don't need any gadgets for that. I've got all the gadgets for you over there after the meeting if you want to stay behind. It's our virtual reality thing. So yeah, the point I was making also is that that's our job, is to figure out what technology people need, because sometimes you don't need any. Sometimes you need really basic stuff, other times you need to be really advanced. But most people don't know what they don't know. So that's why they would talk to somebody like us at Demidov Innovations. So I'll tell you a bit about myself, which the story begins in 2000, where I went to high school at Katara High here in Newcastle. And when it was time to pick subjects, I picked all the IT ones, obviously, because I was a bit of a geek back then and still am. But to my horror, after the subject results came back in, I was the only one that had chosen them all. So they didn't run, so I didn't get to do IT in high school. Unfortunately, I got stuck with business studies and arts and all this other stuff. But fortunately, though, the principal figured that out and actually sent me to TAFE to do a network administration course as a subject at school. So I got a really good leg up there, and that was fantastic. So if you have kids that are interested in this sort of thing, have a look around and see what's possible in that regard, because that really helped me get my first job. So after school, I went to TAFE and did my system administration diploma, which I still use to this day and get taught very interesting stuff there, hands-on, practical type stuff. Went to Sydney to do the career thing. I worked for Computer Sciences Corporation, which I bet no one's ever heard of, but they are the largest IT provider in the world. And the reason you've never heard of them is because they already have all the clients they want. Everyone already uses them. You'll see the logo occasionally when there's people on bicycles, like Tour de France. You'll see CSC on the back. That's them. That's the only marketing they ever do. But keep your eye on it. It's an interesting little Easter egg. So there I used to look after servers for mining companies, insurance companies that couldn't afford to be down for even a second, where a minute of downtime was worth, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So that was my first job. Wasn't that, introduction to full stress corporate environment? It was brilliant. So I used to work 12-hour shifts, 12 hours day, 12 hours night, just like in the mines. So we're on very, very similar schedule. And that was fantastic, because at night time we would change the projector from monitoring alerts to watching horror movies and stuff. There's no one else around, but we were still working very hard. It's just the point is that it's not always necessary to be stuck inside the computer screen. Sometimes it's important to also know when to take a break, which is also something that we are very passionate about. Ergonomics and stuff, computer-wise, you use a mouse. When you're using a regular mouse, you're lifting up your elbow with your shoulder muscles, and it puts strain on your neck and your back, which Shah could confirm if she was here. But what we often recommend to people is one of those sideways ergonomic mouses, because then it's like holding a cup rather than holding anything else, because you're not lifting your elbow then. And so many people with back injuries and sore backs have come back to us and said, that's fantastic, everyone should use these. It's just an unfortunate event in history that they didn't realize that's what people will be doing most of the time when they invented the mouse. So now it's time for us to catch up. So after that, I decided I was sick of working in Sydney 12-hour shifts and not having any time to myself. I went back to Newcastle and worked for some local IT companies. I worked for Andor and Strategic IT for briefly, 5 years. And that's where I learned how to look after small to medium enterprise, because they had clients that would be one-man band at home to corporate, Sydney, tens and tens of offices all over the place. So that was my introduction to the range, the kind of different things that people need. But what I found in common was that everyone had the passion to improve what they had, but not everyone had the ability. And so once I kind of put two and two together, I thought, you know what, I could probably help people do that. There are a lot of people in the Hunter, a lot of my clients, that are very excited about innovation and improving systems either for themselves or for their customers. So that's what they call us for. Basically, people say, I have a wish list. Here are all the impossible things I want to achieve. And we say, there's technology that can do that for you. They don't know that it exists, or they don't know what it's called or what it does, or how to use it properly. But that's our job. So if you can imagine a workplace with, say, 5 employees, that all of which lose about an hour a week of productivity for inefficient computer systems, crashes, that's slow, They don't know how to use it correctly. Oh, and an hour a week isn't that much of time if you think about it. If you add a couple of minutes, here and there every time, it does add up over time. So if you multiply that out, that's a lot of money per month that they're losing just because people don't have the right system or the right infrastructure or the right training to really maximize the efficiency of their information, communication, and technology, which is our little tagline, which I have to fix, but I can't figure out a way how to make it shorter. 4 minutes, thank you. Remaining? Yeah. Okay, cool. So pretty soon we'll start launching our campaign on the radio. You'll hear our ads all day long probably because we have a lot of credit built up with the radio stations that we work for. So you'll see a lot of Demidov innovations, but technical support isn't the only thing we do. One of the things I realized when I was working in the corporate world was the big organizations take too long to turn around, so they don't often have the ability to respond to threats or take advantage of opportunities because they're so big that it takes years to plan even a software upgrade, which I got sick of having to do. Because I kept looking at it going, we can save millions of dollars if we just do this one thing, and then everyone just went, yeah, we'll do it later because it's too hard. The organization's too big, basically. So that's another reason why I'm passionate about helping small to medium enterprise around the Hunter, because there's a lot of innovative people, not necessarily in technology, but in process, in business, in all sorts of different ways, that have ideas but don't really know how to launch them with the technology, because there's always technology out there that can do it, but that's not their job. Their job is doing whatever it is they do best. Everyone can't be proficient at everything, and if you're a jack of all trades, you're a master of none, and which nobody wants to be. So I realized that a lot of software that I had to use in the past just wasn't good enough for me. I thought, you know what, I could do better than that if I learn how to program things, and so that's what I did. For the last couple of years, I've been learning how to program in, I won't bore you with the technical details, but all sorts of different platforms that you can create CRM software, customer relationship management software, sales software, visualizations, which you and I need to talk later. Mm-hmm. Visualizations, like I'll show you later over there, I won't talk about it now. Basically presenting the future as it could potentially be to either investors or buyers or big stakeholders. Because you can't really do that off a plan. You have to be put into the shoes of the person who would exist in that scenario. And so a lot of what we'll be doing pretty soon is working with people like yourselves that have ideas on how to create either an app or a program or a process out of something that everyone can benefit from. So that's my passion, is to leave behind not just a casket with a bunch of money around it. I want to leave a legacy of some people look back in 10 years and go, you know what, that was cool back then, that was useful to everyone, and we still remember it now. So that's the sort of thing that I like to do. Don't always get the chance, but I'm always looking for people to do that with, because like I said, we're the masters of this technology and development stuff, but you guys are the masters of everything else combined, in this room. So that's why I'm here most weeks, because I want to talk to everyone and figure out what it is you do best and how to make it even better for everyone. So without further ado, I'll probably close my presentation there and say, how long do I have? About a minute. I'll leave it open to questions. Thanks. Trina?
So what's an ideal referral? You just pick one.
Well, that's the problem with what we do. There is no ideal referral. Yeah. It could be, an RTO that wants to teach someone how to use a fire extinguisher, or it could be some big developer who wants to sell the concept of a cruise ship terminal. And these are real life examples. So there really isn't an ideal referral. Ideal referral, I guess, if I could summarize, would be someone who has an idea that wants to put it into practice. It doesn't matter what field it is, to me. We can make it work. We can think of some way to improve it with technology, because that's what technology is. It's not about using the gadgets. It's about maximizing your output with the minimal amount of effort, really. So technology isn't always about computers. It's sometimes about process. Sometimes it's about all sorts of other different things that you don't really think about, but technically it is. Graham?
Can you maybe share with us one of your biggest achievements?
How long do I have?
One of your more recent.
Okay. Let's see. I won't use any virtual perspective ones, but let's say I'll give you the example of a real life example where I was talking about the efficiency, hour by hour, people wasting time by not using things correctly. There was a client of mine who had multiple stores that would record their weekly sales totals on a handwritten sheet, and then they would fax it to the head office, where the person at the head office would then put it into a Word document and make a monthly report out of all that stuff. So you can imagine how long it took. Each store had to enter the data. Someone else on the other end had to copy it and paste it and make a Word document out of it, which you can't interrogate for more granular information. What you get, what you see is what you get. You can't then change it. So what we did for them is we created an online tool by which the store enters the data. Instantly it propagates into a database. There's no faxing required, none of that. So it takes them 10 minutes where it would otherwise take them like a whole hour to do. So you multiply that weekly by 4 stores, that's a lot of time. And plus on the other end, we created, because it was in a database, you can interrogate the database, run queries on it and say, what was our sales results this week compared to our sales results that week last year, and things like that. So they can really get information that could be useful to their business that they couldn't otherwise. Yeah, exactly. So they can say, well, why are our sales higher then? What was going on? Oh, right, we had this guy on staff and he's the better salesperson, that sort of thing. So it's a very exciting field to be in, to make stuff like that. And also the virtual reality stuff. Any other questions? No? Okay. Thank you.